Hello, everyone. My name is Andre, and welcome to the PDHPE Pulse podcast. We have an incredible guest today. This is something I've been really looking forward to. Today, we have Paul Manera, one of the most prominent figures in Australian flag football and NFL development. With over 30 years of coaching experience, Paul has coached athletes from grassroots to the world stage, building championship teams and national programs across Australia, Europe, Asia, and the US. He's currently part of the Great Britain women's national flagball coaching staff, helping lead the team to European championships and a top 3 world ranking, and previously served as head coach of the Australian women's national flag team, guiding them to continental silver and a top 16 World Cup finish. Beyond elite competition, Paul is a sports educator and a program architect. As co-director of Bring It On Sports, he reaches over 3,000 students every week and designed Australia's nationally endorsed flag football school curriculum, introducing thousands of young athletes to the game. Just to add on top of that, he is also a Hall of Fame coach and former NCAA player. Paul, welcome. And I haven't even touched on all of your credentials. I'm just looking at your background. This is incredible. Paul, how are you going?
Yeah, very well. Thank you, Andre. It's a real honour to be on your podcast and looking forward to chatting all things flag football today.
Oh, I can't wait. Let's get straight into it, I think. So what drew you to the sport of flag football and NFL initially?
Well, we have to thank the New South Wales Department of Education for allowing us to have school holidays. I was actually, I think, 13 years of age, and I started watching the NFL playoffs in 1980. And I would start really late at night, and I thought, this game's fantastic. I mean, I just happened to turn on the TV when they were explaining the rules, and they said four downs to make 10 yards. And if you make the 10 yards, you get another 4 downs to go another 10 yards. And so I just got hooked on it. And I think I was really fascinated because back then I used to play rugby union. And I thought, look at these guys, running around with all these helmets and shoulder pads on. And I thought, I'd love to do that, just be Mr. Invincible, running around, like smashing into people with this, helmet, shoulder pads on, like leg pads, everything. I thought, how awesome is this? And then the other thing I really fell in love with was just, I was watching highlights of the game and, quarterback gets the ball, throws the ball, 50, 60 yards downfield, and the wide receiver, I think at the time was from the Atlanta Falcons, catches the ball in the back of the end zone, and it was just breathtaking, so it just hooked me for a long time ago. And I actually wrote I watched the playoffs for a couple of years in the Super Bowl, and back then it was the 81 Super Bowl. I think the Oakland Raiders all beat the Philadelphia Eagles. But then after watching it for a couple of seasons, and back then they would only show the playoffs and the Super Bowl, I actually wrote a letter to Channel 9. I said, I would love this game to come to Australia. Could you bring out the 49ers and the Cowboys? Because, my team was the Cowboys back then. And I never got a reply.
Oh.
But the other thing that really fascinated to me is I loved all the team names, like the Dallas Cowboys, going up against the Washington Redskins, and then you had the Los Angeles Rams, and there's such cool, nicknames that you don't really hear much in Australia. And so I kind of really loved that. And I just became so fascinated by the sport. Like back then we had encyclopedias, and I'd look at encyclopedias and I'd research a city just to see the name of the stadium, because I was seeing all these massive stadiums in America where, they're always full 50, 60,000 people. Yeah. And it was just an incredible, I guess, infatuation I had with the sport. And so that's where my fascination and what drew me to American football. And then it wasn't until I left high school at the age of 15, I started my apprenticeship as an electrical fitter with the State Rail Authority of New South Wales. I was actually at TAFE, and I was walking behind a couple of my classmates, and one of them looked at the other one and he says, "Oh, you're going to go down to the gridiron tryouts on Sunday?" And my ears just went bing, and I said, "Gridiron?" And they go, "Yeah, they're having tryouts at Parramatta Park." And so
That's
I went to
excellent.
the tryouts, and this is like late January 1984. I was still 16 years of age. And they basically asked me, they said, okay, what part of Sydney do you live in? And I told them the area I lived in, which I grew up in, beautiful downtown Greystanes. And
Yes.
they said, okay, go stand over next to that tree there. And they did that with all of us. There was about 300 people there. They formed 7 teams in Sydney.
Wow.
And we played without pads. So I was turned 17 that year and was playing against men. I was about 6'3" and weighed a massive 72 kilos, 12 and a half stone on the old Richter scale, if
Gosh.
anyone can go back to that metric system or that system of measurement. And just fell in love with the game. And we played without pads that year. So that was a lot of fun. You'd block a field goal with your head and
Ooh.
get dragged off the field by your teammates
Yep.
with a concussion. But that's where we started. That was our humble beginnings. And we had seven men's teams in Sydney. And so, yeah, that's where it all started. And then from there, my career
Mm.
sprung, I guess.
And look where you are now with the credentials that you have. That's a beautiful start to a story. Just, imagine if you weren't there with your friends or they didn't say it. That's
Yeah.
it's a wild moment. Absolutely wild
Yeah,
moment.
and it's just created so many more opportunities for me. Like, as I said, I left high school when I was 15, so I left high school in the 10th grade. Started working full time when I was still 15 in 1983, and
Still a kid, yeah.
because of that, because of my love for American football, and I became quite good at it. I actually got the opportunity to go to America and play college football, but I had to go to a junior college first, and I had to get what's called an Associate of Arts degree. And once I got my Associate of Arts degree, then I could go to the University of Hawaii. So it just changed my whole direction in my life,
Yeah.
So,
Gosh.
yeah. So very
With
grateful.
absolutely. And it's, just what you've sent me and what I've read and what I know about you. Your career has been incredible and it's still going. You're
Yes.
still adding more, which is beautiful. Which leads us to our next question. Tell us about your coaching role in national and international flag football.
Yeah. So I've been coaching nationally since 1999. And I coached on the Australian team. And back then, when I went over to Japan and coached, and then more recently, I've coached New South Wales and I've won national championships in New South Wales, coached the men's team. And then more recently, I started coaching flag football. Like, we started obviously in Bring It On Sports in 2008, teaching it at the school level, which is recreational flag, teaching people how to play the game. But then internationally, it started in 2023, where I did coach for the Australian women's team. But now I'm with the Great Britain women's national team, currently ranked 3rd in the world. But I also coach with the New South Wales under-17s boys flag football team. And I coached them last year as well as the under-15s. And we won the national championship. 5 of those kids were selected to the Australian team in the under-15s and under-17s, and 3 of the kids in the under-15s got selected to the national team.
That's
And so
excellent.
mainly my role now is I'm coaching at state level for New South Wales, but then I'm still involved with Great Britain women's team as their offensive assistant coach, helping them design offensive strategies. I deal a lot with the head coach, and I also do scouting analysis and looking at the different defenses that we come up against, and kind of, just discussing strategy with the head coach. And basically I'm a second set of eyes on the sideline on game day. And so I'll be going over to Germany in August and to work with Great Britain. Australia will be there as well. So the Australian women's team is currently ranked 10th in the world, and their men's team is ranked 8th in the world. So yeah, because we're ranked 3rd, Australia's not going to be in our group. They're going to be in a group with the USA team in the women's. And in our group in the women's, I think we've got Austria and China, and not sure who the third one is. There's one more team. I've just got a mental blank. Austria and China, and there's someone else. It'll come to me, but yeah. And so that's in August. Now,
Mm.
the cool thing about that, or the really exciting thing about that, the top 4 teams will have, I've been informed, will have automatic entry into the 2028 Olympics.
Excellent.
Yeah,
That's
so
exciting news.
if we can finish in the top 4, we would get to go to Los Angeles for the Olympics, and then they'll pick an additional 2 teams from another tournament, which will be, I think, in early 2028. And then those final 2 teams will be the other 2 remaining teams that get to go to the Olympics. They're only taking 6 teams in their first go at it in
Mm.
Los Angeles. And then, so that's obviously a really, really exciting time. And then obviously, post LA, you've got the Brisbane 2032 Olympics,
Mm.
right? And so, and that's obviously exciting times as well, because I think, the sport, it's just, at international level, you got the tip of the iceberg, which, really good, exciting things happening for pathways. But then also you've got the base level. So that's my current involvement in the international side of things.
You're everywhere. I love it. You're absolutely everywhere. I can imagine it would be so fulfilling that other countries are approaching you and asking, "We need your expertise. We want your set of eyes. We want your thoughts." That's an incredible feeling. I can imagine.
It is,
Um,
and like I coached on the World Under-19s team in 2011 and 2012, and in 2012 we beat the USA. You can call it their All-American high school team, and we had people from
yes.
American Samoa playing, people from Japan, people from Canada
Mm.
playing, and it was that through that network coaching there, I got to, I guess, work with good people and learn from good people as well.
Mm.
So
Absolutely. What you're saying actually rolls on beautifully to our next question is, starting at 1986, you're a young lad, 15,
84,
16, you said.
84.
Oh, sorry, did I say 86? 84, still young
Yes.
lad, still very young lad, 15, 16 years of age. You would have seen the sport go from such change, like most sports do. Within a decade, there's always a fair bit of change. In your experience, how has the sport evolved from when you were initially drew to the sport to 2026 now?
Look, the sport has evolved a lot, like a lot of other sports have, and obviously, from a information perspective, there's so much more information that's easy to access now because we have the internet.
Mm.
Back in those days, we were still, typing playbooks out on typewriters, and
The old
and
typewriters, yes.
you're going to laugh here because the coaches actually had a stencil where it was like a plastic ruler, but it had like X's and O's and different shapes.
Mm.
So you use a stencil to draw a circle on a hard bit of paper, and then you've got to, get that photocopied, and that became the playbook, right?
No way.
So it was very, very difficult in the olden days when I started out to get information, right?
Mm.
So, the game has evolved so much from a sophistication level, both in the USA and in Australia as well, because now we get access to that information. Like, think back to the olden days, right? If a movie came out in the cinema, right, then it might come out a year and a half later on your VHS at home, right?
Oh,
You could
good
run
old
down
VHS, yep.
to
And
the
then a couple of
VHS
years
store
later,
and
it
get the
might be on
VHS.
TV.
Yeah, now everything's online, and it's just so the access to information has really changed. So I would say that in Australia, the level of knowledge of the game has increased quite a lot. The commitment to the game, obviously, it's gotten better since we've become an Olympic sport because there's all these pathways in place now. So that's improved as well. At the club level, it's kind of the same in terms of people just want to play for fun. It's their kind of, first taste of the sport. But then I think the evolution now is there's much more international play and opportunities for people and much more pathways.
Mm. Which is great. And
Yeah,
I am a huge
fantastic.
advocate of this sport because it's just the opportunities there are great, which brings me on to my next question of your business, Bring It On Sports, and its delivery of flag football in schools. that's becoming quite popular for you. I understand that a lot of schools are getting on board with your flag football program. What do you aim to provide teachers and schools with Bring It On Sports, particularly in flag football and all the other services you offer?
Yeah, well, we've been delivering, sports, dance, fitness, wellness, and self-defense programs in the school since 2007. In 2008, we started teaching flag football. So we've taught it for a very, very long time. In 2024, we became the sporting schools delivery provider for American Football Australia. And in 2025, we conducted over 1,400 flag football classes across the country.
That's massive.
And we've also created curriculums for infants. So, kindy, first, second grade, and then primary and high school, which are all aligned to version 9 of the Australian educational curriculum. So this is what we bring to the table in terms of not just doing the activity. We've aligned it all with the education syllabus. Our coaches, they teach that syllabus when we teach sporting schools. And I've gone the extra length to make sure that we've included the physical literacy elements into the curriculums as well.
Absolutely.
Because that's really super important. And we had to get all of that. Like, I wrote every word of that curriculum. It's about 200 pages, but all of that was approved in flying colours by the Australian Sports Commission.
Gosh, aren't you glad it wasn't on a typewriter, though? My gosh, one mistake, sheet gone.
I'm glad that it wasn't a typewriter. And, and so what I did too is I made sure that, because I'm not a PDHPE teacher, I made sure that once I've put it all together, I got a PDHPE person to look over it and make sure that, because what it's like with learning outcomes, you can take it to the extent, or it could be a very narrow focus. So you could say, oh yeah, one part of that statement touched on this, so I'm going to include that as a learning outcome, but it's really not the main core of learning outcomes. So you want to make sure your learning outcomes were accurate and that they, really help. So when school teachers decide to run a teacher-led program with sporting schools, they can, and the resource is an excellent resource for them. And we've also got it made, to it's suitable for mobile phones, so the teachers can work with the curriculum. If they forget the game, they can just bring it up on their mobile phone and quickly, get it in there. So we've been able to do that, and we've spent a lot of time. We also our base offering started off in schools just doing weekly sport, recreational sport, and that was more the modified version where you could engage kids, like the whole class at the same time. So if you're managing 30 students, if you try to teach the regular 5-on-5 flag football, it's a struggle, right? Because there's a lot of listening, whereas we couldn't do that. We had to say, okay, we've got to have these modified games where we can engage the whole class at the same time, right? And modified games, and I know PDHPE teachers are on top of this, but modified games are an excellent way to engage the kids and get them into sport where it's more about the decision making more so than the technical skill. Because if you look at, and I say this to my coaches every time they come in, I say, hey, if you look at the, what's the most boring to the most exciting, the most boring stuff is probably doing a drill.
Yeah. I can.
And the most exciting stuff is playing a game. Yeah.
Yep. Right. Even for the students as well, like a lot of the questions students will ask is, when can we play? Yeah. When are we actually playing? And, you've probably seen this, Paul, the traditional PE approaches, if it's a 7-week unit, it's 5 weeks of drills. 2 weeks of games, and it's it's dated. It doesn't work, and it keeps bringing back the question: when do we play?
It doesn't work, and it's not athlete centered. So, for example, and I know people are going to listen to this, but like if me and you had a rugby ball, we passed it back and forward to each other 50 times, right? We'd get kind of bored, right?
Very quickly.
And if we dribbled the ball, a soccer ball, in and out of cones, we'd get pretty bored doing that, right? Absolutely. And the reason is, and for me, like, game sense, it's where it's all about. Now, I always give my coaches the technique of driving a car. You can sit in the car, you can open the door perfectly, you can sit in the seat perfectly, you can put your seatbelt on perfectly, start the engine perfectly, you can hold the steering wheel at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. perfectly, right? But if you don't understand how to drive from, say, Sydney to Newcastle,
Mm.
you know, you might be able to read the map and follow the map. But as soon as something goes wrong, right, and this
Absolutely.
road is blocked because there's a bushfire, because you don't understand how to get there, you're not going to be able to get there,
Mm.
right? And the
Exactly right.
stimulating part about games, it's all about making decisions,
Mm.
right?
Absolutely.
And what I love about the game sense approach and the modified games is that we've designed it so that you can modify your games in the curriculum,
Mm.
right? And as a coach and educator, your responsibility is to it's a combination of being athlete centered, but it's also a combination of being coach centered to make sure you can create the right environment to make sure that the students learn to make the right decisions,
Mm.
right? Because you might know
Absolutely.
the answers. And so what you do is, so we'll drip feed rules. And if we see students cheating a certain way, we'll say, okay, we're going to
Always.
implement a new rule. Right. And the new rule is you can't pass the ball over anyone's head. You've got to pass the ball in between defenders, like, for example. Right. So all of this is incorporated into what we do. And
Yeah.
what we do is, because I'm pretty bullish as a coach. Like, I want to make sure we get what we want from the kids so that they learn the game.
Mm.
And they've got to learn by doing. Right. And that's where, we fit into that. And so, and the other part of it is making sure engaged. So we have our curriculums in place. And like I said, we started off with recreational sport, but then we started doing work with PDHPE teachers and past classes. Like, we'll go out to a school, we'll teach the kids how to play the game in the morning, and then they'll play games against each other in the afternoon, and they have a little round robin tournament. That's now kind of evolved into where we'll go to school and just run a gala day. Like, a school might get
Mm.
us out there and they might have their 10 or 12 teams and they run a competition. And that's evolved further to where last year we ran 3 of our own gala days, and we had 3 gala days. So we had 46 teams attend our gala day in West Sydney, all high school teams.
That's
And then,
awesome.
and we had 22 teams in Maitland, and we had 22 teams in Wollongong. So across those 3 gala days, we had 90 teams. Now, the minimum that we say is you can have 7 players per team, and the maximum is 10. So let's say we just divide 90 teams by 8, that's 720 athletes. Then we also did a massive gala day with Sydney Catholic schools where they promoted it.
Mm.
Half the schools are our clients anyhow, but we had that gala day. They had 41 teams attend, and that was just year 7 and year 8 gala day.
41.
41
Dang.
teams, yeah. And, that was brilliant. So between the 131 teams, we probably had over 1,000 athletes, 131 teams compete in school gala days in the calendar year 2025. And that doesn't
Wow.
include the individual gala days that we ran where we did the come and try days where schools played against where the same school, like our internal gala days. And so,
That's
I guess
massive.
the next step in our evolution is to grow grade sport for flag football. And the biggest thing that I want school teachers to know is that, yes, we understand it's a confidence issue there because we want to make sure that any sport that gets delivered in schools, that the school teachers know how to run it and operate it.
Mm.
And so, and so there's a lot more to that, which I'll get into later. But that's where we're going now. It's doing all the gala days. Like, we've got 7 gala days planned for 2026. And we're doing 1 in Wollongong, 1 in Maitland. We're going to do 3 in Sydney. So we're going to do 1 in the northwest of Sydney, like
Mm.
up near the northern beaches around Killara. We've got 1 out at Whalen. We've got a 3rd one in Bankstown. Then we've got the 1 in Maitland. But we're also going to do 1 in Bowral as well.
Excellent.
Yeah. And if I get a bit of time, I want to go to Orange, and I want to go to Wagga, and I want to go to Coffs Harbour.
Absolutely.
Get my little combi van and drive around New
Excellent.
South Wales, and then engaging schools and teaching the kids how to play. Yeah.
I think what you're doing is incredible. The fact that you and your team can organize that many gala days is just blows my mind. The fact being a PDHPE teacher and organizing gala days, I totally know the work that goes into it.
Oh
So,
yeah.
um, And just it totally answers my question of, what are the opportunities for people to play flag football? This has answered that. This is massive. And the opportunities to be exposed to it, I think it's just incredible that you're exposing so many students and people to the sport. This could be their moment where, they were young and gone, hey, let's follow this, let's pursue this. I think you're providing so much good. So thank you. I think that's incredible. And let's say, for example, someone was in that position, they're 15, 16 in Australia in 2026 and said, you know what? I want to make this a thing. I want to make this my thing. What are the opportunities on a national and international level for someone like that?
Right. Well, first and foremost, there's so many opportunities. So if I'm going to look at the male side first, and I'll go to female, okay?
Absolutely.
Because it's more exciting in female. They even have more opportunities, right? Now,
excellent.
On the male side of it, you can play community sport. You can play for your school. You can play community sport. Then you could play in representative sport, like say for like Gridiron New South Wales. They have their club teams that have flag football. They play on Saturdays, usually on weekends. Community sport is usually going to be more your weeknight, just like your OzTag comp, you've got your local flag football comp. And a little bit more about that later. And then from that, you could play for New South Wales, and then you could represent Australia. And then from that, you've got continental championships every 2 years. So you've got the Asia Oceania Championships, which is pretty awesome. And then from that, you've got the World Cup for flag football every 2 years. So unlike other sports, we play our World Cup every 2 years.
Excellent.
Now, if you finish in the top 8, you also get to go to the World Games. Yes. So last year when I coached with Great Britain, we went to the World Games in China. Then we went to European Championships in Paris. And so you've got community sport, you've got school sport, community sport, representative sport, state sport, national team sport, and then from those opportunities, there's now the NFL actually released a document probably about a month ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. They've put $32 million. So each NFL franchise has put $1 million in US because they want to have professional flag football leagues.
That's incredible.
Right? Now, let's flip a little bit. The ladies have the exact same opportunities, but they have two more opportunities. The NCAA just announced that they are going to sponsor flag football, and within 1 day, Nebraska, the Cornhuskers, right, massive American football, they've just said, yep, they're like the first NCAA Division I program to announce that they are going to have flag football for women.
Excellent.
Right? Now, I'm going to take you down a little path here.
All right. I'm ready.
About 20 years ago, back in the olden days, the tackle football program, like college football, would fund a lot of the NCAA programs. So they'd make a lot of money on football. Like our school would get, $1.5 million US to play on ESPN, and I'm talking this is in the 80s. And so what they did is they brought in Title IX gender equity that said as many female athletes have to be on scholarships at the USA colleges as the men, right? So the NCAA started adopting a lot of sports. Women's soccer became a prominent NCAA sport for women in the USA, all right? And so now that this has happened for flag football, what you're going to have is flag football becoming a very, very serious sport at the NCAA level, which is sponsored, but then that's going to open up opportunities for international athletes to earn a scholarship. Now, I just want to share some dollar signs here. Right?
All right, I'm ready.
With the NCAA, so the University of Hawaii, my school, if I was to go there now as an out-of-state student, it would cost at least $35,000 US a year, right? Which is over 50,000 Australian dollars a year.
Yeah.
Right now, on a 5-year scholarship, that equates out to $250,000. That's what a scholarship's worth. Now that's to the University of Hawaii high school. If you get a scholarship to Stanford, it's probably worth $350,000, $400,000. You know what I mean? So massive opportunities for people. Not only that too, in the last about 3 years, college sport, they now allow you to make money. Right. Whereas when I played, we weren't allowed to make money. We got everything covered. right? We got our accommodation paid for, our meals paid for, the professional coaching services that we got, that was all paid for. All of our equipment, everything was paid for. We'd travel and play, but we weren't allowed to get paid any money, right? But now what they do, they have the NIL deal. NIL stands for name, image, and likeness, right? So if you're a high profile figure and you're playing flag football or American football, someone can sponsor you for your name, image, and likeness, which means that you're not getting paid for your American football talent. You're getting paid for your name, image, and likeness. So you're still considered an amateur athlete. So you're still holding your amateur, I guess, status. And so there's people now. There's people out there making $1 million US a year just through their name, image, and likeness deal, and they're a college athlete. So this is a real game changer. And I think with the introduction of like NCAA sport for women and the platform that it's creating for women and female athletes, it's just huge. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Women are driving a big part of the growth. Yeah. And Olympic sport. Yeah. So there's so many really like just mega opportunities out there for people. And look, if you did go to the college pathway, let's say you didn't get an NIL deal, and let's say you didn't go professional, you got a quality education to fall back on. Like, and myself, I can only speak about myself here. I mean, I left high school at the age of 15 and then, never even dreamed that I'd go to university. And then I graduated in 1992 with a Bachelor of Business Administration with a major in finance. And that's helped set me up in business and what we do.
Absolutely.
So just a fantastic opportunity, because education does last a lifetime. Professional sport, if you're lucky, you make a professional team. If you're lucky, you get to have a proper career. And so like fantastic opportunity. And just on that, one of the kids that I did help in tackle football, Adam Gotsis, he's just finished playing his 10th year in the NFL. And I helped him to get a scholarship to Georgia Tech University. So there's so many opportunities out there now through flag football, right? So, so to young athletes out there who want to go places, we've got great opportunity. You could play for your state, play for your country. You could potentially earn a scholarship to a NCAA school or even an NAIA school. You could play for your country, go to the Olympics. There's so many really cool opportunities. And on top of all of that, it's a really cool game to play. And most PDHPE teachers that I work with, they seem to fall in love with the game pretty quickly. I think they love the strategy of it. They love how it fits in with the PDHPE curriculum. Like, I've gone out to schools where we've done projects on statistics. We've done projects on skill acquisition. We've done, different types of activities where, and it really fits in a lot with a lot of the school's curriculum.
Gosh, I'm loving the fact that there's so much opportunity here, particularly in female sport when, in Australia, it's very open to say we can do better. So it's wonderful to hear that, particularly in flag football and NFL, it's opening options. I'd love it. I love it so much. Also, touching on PDHPE teachers, let's say I'm sold. Absolutely sold. I'm like, Paul, next unit, flag football, where's the best place I can go? What can I do for resources or, services like you to start engaging and start planning and delivering a unit? Let's say if I wanted to find some resources and deliver it myself, where would I start looking?
Look, there's obviously resources on YouTube that you can look at. And it depends what you wanted to do. Like, if you wanted to be part of sporting schools, like the sporting schools provides government grants from early stage 1 to stage 4.
People get on that. It's great. Yeah. Absolutely get on that.
And we provide assistance to schools. Some of the schools don't know how to even apply for the grant, but we sometimes have to educate the schools on that. But then what we do, because we're the exclusive provider for sporting schools in Australia, then we can come out to your school and run your programs. And some schools will get a coach-led program where our coaches come and run all the sessions. Other schools will get a teacher-led program where you get the curriculum and you get the equipment. You get the proper flag belts, which I'm just trying to see if I have any here. But here we go. The flag belts that we use Oh, they're a pop tag, so they fit into a little suction cup, and when you pull them, they make a massive pop sound. So they're
Oh,
different. They're not Oz tags. They're a different. They're a different tag. And I
so
was
there's
gonna,
no year seven students saying, "No, sir, no, miss, I didn't get my tag."
yeah,
You'll hear
exactly. Yeah, because
it.
you'll hear it. It pops
Yep,
when you pull it, and you go, yeah, no, he got you. Yeah,
yep.
or
You've been
she got
taken
you,
back.
whatever. You got tagged, and so
Mm.
so we sell all the equipment, the balls. We've got little footballs like this. If you see that, if you
I
can see
bloody
that,
love the design of NFL balls. They're
yeah.
great to throw.
So we got these for the young kids in primary school
Oh,
because
they've got the grip on them.
yeah, they've got the grip on them.
That's
And then
fabulous.
these are more the ones that we use in our high schools,
Mm.
right? So everyone can be a legend. Even me, I can throw these ones about 40 yards.
For everyone listening on audio only, these are particularly designed NFL balls, and they look great for your
Yeah.
juniors. They're definitely a must get.
And so we've done all that. We've specifically for our programs, but also specific to make sure that the balls are not too big for the kids to throw. You know,
Mm.
because most of the people we deal with are beginners. And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
and then the other thing we do is for teams that sign up for our gala days, we give them a rules and we give them a sample playbook. So
Mm.
I've created some plays and yeah, that's also pretty cool. And we also sell the wrist coaches, right?
Excellent.
So if you want to be Bill Belichick when your school team's playing at the gala day, you can sit there and call a play. And this is what they look like if you can see this little wrist coach.
Mm.
Right. And so what happens is this pops open, right? And
Oh,
it fits
yes.
in here, right? And then when we print out our playbooks, we usually can fit 8 players on each panel, and you can
Oh,
have 24 plays in here. So your school teams, they've got their playbooks on their wrist
mm.
coach, and then you can just
Yep.
say play 7, and the kids look at play 7, and
Oh, they know
they go out there
exactly
and
what it is.
execute it. Yeah,
That's
so it's
excellent.
a lot of fun. So we do that as well. We
Mm.
provide sample playbooks and look, the feedback we're getting is just fantastic. Like a lot of the teachers say, you know what, Paul, the kids had a great time. The game's great. They really like it. It's just like anything else. You've got to build the infrastructure. And
Yes.
my role now has recently restructured to bring it on sports.
Mm.
I'm going to be more head of community sport. So what we're
Excellent.
doing now, so I ran a league last year in term 4 called Shire Flag Football. We had 110 kids,
Hmm.
and we had 4 teams in the under 10s, 4 teams in the under 12s, and then we had 4 teams in the under 14s, and we had 2 teams in the under 16s. So I got the under 16s and I merged them into the under 14s comp. And the under 10s kicked off at 5 p.m. The under 12s kicked off at 6 p.m.
Mm.
And then the under 12s under 14s and 16s combined kicked off at 7 p.m. Then I ran a little adult thing at 8 p.m. just for
Oh,
people who
that'd be the
wanted to play.
best.
But we ran that. It was fantastic. And
Mm.
I've got parents now. Oh, can we go again in summer? Okay, we'll go again in summer. So now I've got to run one. It's probably going to start late February, early March. But my role now has changed. I've partnered with another company called Let's Play,
Yep.
right, where they have a technology platform, and my role is going to be promoting everything we do in the schools and trying to grow community sport.
That's
So
excellent.
we've just grown the one in the Sutherland Shire, but we're going out to Nepean. We're going to go to North Shore, where we've got Newcastle signed up. So we're going to grow community leagues now.
Fantastic.
So my job will be to upskill referees, upskill coaches,
Mm.
assist league operators, and then also for bringing on sports and Let's Play, we provide assistance to the league operators to make sure that they're able to run. We're going to launch our own officiating platform, so PDHPE teachers will be able to log in, be able to do an officials course, and
Oh,
then help
excellent.
grow the whole infrastructure, because that's what's going to bring the confidence and support that you guys need to say, yeah, let's run flag football as a great sport.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And as my teacher ears just ringed when you said coaching courses, and I thought,
Yeah,
there's some of our hours. There's our PD hours, friends. Get on that.
yeah.
Paul, what
And the
I'm
other
loving
thing
about
too is sorry,
that's
let
right.
me just. The other thing too is that yeah, I want to do professional development for PDHPE teachers as well.
There's definitely a space for
Yeah,
that.
so I can come out and
Absolutely.
work with, like probably one school at a time, just take all their PDHPE teachers through, because it actually really is a brilliant sport.
Hmm.
Just getting into the huddle and teaching people how to call plays and direct their teammates. You got someone who's learning to be a bit of a manager and a bit of a leader,
Hmm.
and then you got the other kids learning how to take instruction.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. And like I get so many parents say, Paul, ever since my son or daughter started playing flag football, the change in them's been fantastic. Because it's
Yeah.
not just get the ball around and throw it around like a hot potato. It's a lot more. There's a lot of structure
Hmm.
to American football. And what I've noticed in Australia is culturally, we're used to playing sports where you don't really huddle up. You just get out there and play.
That's
It's
right.
not, a lot of our sports aren't really set on that many planned moves where you get stop, start, whereas American football's like that. But what it does do, it gives, I think, Australians, both ends of the spectrum, it gives that, what's the word, ad lib or wing it
Yep.
attitude that they
Winging
have,
it.
winging
Absolutely.
it, and then you've got this structure, right? And I think both of them can play off on each other and help
Yeah.
develop a better all-rounded athlete, right? Because you don't want your players to be robots. You want them to
No.
still be able to make decisions. And I think tying both ends of that spectrum together is really brilliant. And I think Australians can kind of bring that flavour to the sport, but also the American structure can come in of the structure of flag football, into the Australian psyche as well. Now, for example, if I was coaching flag football in America, I'd have no problem getting the kids to want to huddle up and call a play.
Hmm.
What do the Aussies usually do? They just say, "Everyone run downfield and I'll chuck the ball," right?
Yep.
And right, because they don't want to think that much because they're not used to it, right? So what usually happens is they'll, throw an interception, throw another interception, throw another
That's it.
interception. And
That's
that's
it.
when I start to say, right, okay, now you need to huddle up and you start to have a strategy. I said, if you've got
Hmm.
all receivers running downfield, where's all your defenders going to be? And they're going to go, oh, down the field. Okay, exactly. That's why you're throwing interceptions. Spread out the defense. So a lot of this comes into play, and it's a really good way for the kids to learn
Hmm.
because they learn by doing, they learn by making mistakes, and they evolve
Yes.
from there. But a lot of the kids, I think what's kept me around the sport for so long is like I really love the strategy of the game. And
Hmm.
for people who, it's a human need to learn, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think as long as my brain is still being stimulated, whether it's an idea, whether it's a program or whatever,
Hmm.
that's kind of what kind of inspires me to stay with the sport as well. But there's also, the people side
Absolutely.
of it and all that stuff. So there's a lot of good things out there. And when I start coaching kids, they go, oh, I didn't realize there was so much to this sport,
Yeah. It's
right?
massive.
And then but their whole horizons open up. Like, we
Hmm.
don't know what we don't know, right? And that's one
That's
thing
it.
that we do know is that we don't know what we don't know.
You're not wrong. Gosh, you're not
And
wrong.
so, yeah, so there's a lot to it.
Hmm.
And I think, I think PDHPE teachers and students can come along on this journey together
Absolutely.
because one of the cool things about flag football, the coaches are heavily involved during the game,
Hmm.
right? They get to call
Yeah.
plays, they get to help out with defensive structure, they get to coach. There's a lot to it, and it's a great way to engage. Like coaches love the engagement, like compared to other sports, you're so engaged when you coach,
Yeah.
flag football, or American football,
Hmm.
So
I
very exciting part.
abs yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely love what you're doing. And I think what's resonated with me at the moment is it's fun. And I'm a huge advocate of just making PE and sport fun. I know we have curriculum, I know we
Yeah.
have things that we have to do. I totally get it, but you can make it fun. And I think what you're doing is just making the sport fun and accessible and realistic, not only for the players, but coaching
Yep.
as well. Just before we finish off, Paul, let's say I'm going to get a unit. I'm going to start a unit. What are some tips for me? What are some tips for teachers writing a unit, grabbing one of your planned units and saying, okay, where do I start? What are some for beginners? Where do I go?
Well, yeah, what I usually do is I identify the skills needed, like the minimum skills needed to play a version of the game. And then I would drip feed it into modified games and then with final game outcome. And so, obviously start off, you can teach some basic skills, but if you've got a skill, invent a game for that skill. Don't just turn it into a drill.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, okay, yes, let's face the facts. We have to sometimes practice a skill. Doesn't mean we have to perfect it, but let's practice it enough so that we can get straight into a game.
Absolutely. And even put the drill in a modified game and have that as the focus.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you put you have the skill, then you have modified games that you want to attach to that skill. And then if you do that, the kids are having fun the whole time. Like I have people say to me, Paul, I don't even like sport, and I had so much fun today.
That's what you want to hear. That sings to my soul. The fact that you're doing that, massive, huge.
And so that's what that's what I would do as a PDHP unit, and then kind of like and I would think about what can I get out of this, okay, I can teach the kids how to throw a ball, then what throwing ball games can I invent which are going to stimulate their interest,
Absolutely.
So I think about it like that way, and then once they kind of like, that's one way to develop the skill, but then you also want to make sure, well, listen, we need to bring the decision making along with it, right? Because life's, what is it all about? It's about decision making,
choices. Yeah.
Right. 100%. So then you want to implement the choice side of it as well, making sure the kids are learning game sense, because that's where they really start to have fun. Why? Because they get to use their brain and they get to make decisions.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And when they feel that they're in control, right? And so, sometimes when I'm coaching kids, I go, hey, you can tell your PE teachers about this. You can be the expert, and they have a big grin on their face. And so just find ways to make it fun. If the kids have to stand around for too long and listen too much, they're going to switch off.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
And sometimes it's better to drip feed something, right, rather than have a big long explanation at first. Just get them doing something. You might say, okay, all right, here we go. You're the red team, you're the blue team. Throw the ball to your teammates. You can run around, right? And then you can say, okay, now if they tag you while you got the ball, it's a turnover. And then you can add another rule in. You can just drip feed rules and stuff like that into the unit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Keep it continuous. Action than chat, I guess. So if you've got an hour class, 55 minutes of activity, 5 minutes of discussion, right?
Oh, we never want to fall into that trap, and sometimes we do.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
Paul, this has been just a magnificent chat with you. I've had the best time. We've covered so much. Your history and involvement in the sport, just thank you for everything that you're doing and what you're doing and what you're providing to schools and teachers in community sport. You're incredible. If this has blown your mind like I have, you can contact Paul and the team on bringitonsports.com.au. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Reach out to the team, have a chat to them. Paul, how else can they, if they want to dive in more into flag football, is there any other ways they can chat to you or the team and get some information?
Yeah, certainly. So if they email bookings at bringitonsports.com.au, like our whole team sees it.
Yep.
So there'll be a few of us there. And if they want to, speak to me, just say, I've got a question for Paul or whatever, I'll be happy to chat with them. I've also got my email address, which is just paul at bringitonsports.com.au.
I'll put those all in the show notes as well for everyone who is blown away by this.
Fine, no problem. And, someone in the team will get back to you.
Wonderful. Paul, thank you so much for this conversation. It's been greatly appreciated. Everyone, that's all we got time for today. This has been Paul Manera. My name is Andre de Villiers, and you've been listening to the PDHPE Pulse podcast. We'll see you later.